I come from Northern California, where the murder ride is high and the free ride on ya. I come from the land of the bad, but we ever get money and we with that gunplay. Rolling around slow, man, smashing down the block, hitting corners everywhere, man, this shit don't stop. As a kid, gang banging on the streets with a banger on my side, where take out any enemies.
So today what we're going to be discussing is solitary confinement, the SHU, Security Housing Unit, and other environments where inmates are restricted of the day-to-day privileges and incentives that other inmates receive. Now the SHU, or solitary confinement, Ad-Seg, whatever you want to list it as, is a very, very harsh way to do time. Okay, I don't think the prison administration did their research before they started to create these type of atmospheres and the long-term effects of being in these environments, especially when you're in prison for correction. You're there as a form of punishment, and you're supposed to be rehabilitated. The SHU has broke the best of the best at times. And what I mean by that, man, is I've seen people get to the SHU, Ad-Seg, right? They got a good head on their shoulders. They're living life. They're positive. They come in, man, and they're in these harsh conditions. They start picking up the Bible. They start praying. They start doing all these things. And slowly their mental state starts to deteriorate. You know, it's hard being in a cell 24/7 at times. You know, a place where you have no access to the free world. You have no control of anything. Prison is already hard as it is enough to get the basic needs that you want on a day-to-day basis to feel somewhat sense of norm. There is no normalcy in prison at all. So just the little privileges and incentives, a little bit of sunlight, man, day-to-day movements, walking around, TVs and so forth, man, special purchases, jobs, vocational trades. These are things that when you're in prison, that as an inmate, you want to take advantage of. Once you get put in the SHU or security housing unit, all those things, they're not there anymore. You know, I did years in the SHU, Ad-Segs. I've been to so many different Ad-Segs, man. I've been to San Quentin, Solano, DVI, New Folsom, Salinas Valley, CMC East, Corcoran SHU, Delano, Santa Clara County Jail, Santa Rita County Jail. I've been to a lot of different atmospheres, and I've seen a lot of crazy things in the SHU. I've seen people kill themselves, where they have to take them out on a stretcher with a sheet around their neck. I've seen people start to lose it, put Midol over their bodies and start talking to the wall and just live on straight biker status. You know what I mean? Won't even clean themselves up and just straight JCAT stuff to where months before they were normal. So I don't think people will realize how hard solitary confinement is, how much loneliness you go through. I mean, as much as, you know, you may have interactions with your homeboys, you know what I'm saying, on paper and so forth, it's a hard environment, man. You know, just to be in a cell on a day-to-day basis, it takes a lot of strength and a lot of discipline and a lot of conditioning. You know, and even after years, those that are able to show face, you know, that have been in there 10, 20 years and act like it hasn't affected them, believe me, it has. It has. This is one of the most rigorous confinements of expectations to where you have no control or say over anything that you do. The access that you have to anything, you know what I'm saying, is very limited. You can't just go use a phone when you have some free time or just sign up for your phone calls. You can't go and spend $150 on commissary or canteen. Those privileges are not given to you. You're lucky if you have family to support you and you can have a TV. But even that, after time, when you're in a box and then you're being taken either to a group yard for a couple hours a week or even a cage. That's the sad thing, man, is with all those cases that were filed for yard time to be mandatory and not be cruel and unusual punishment, they took you from one cell to another after a while. Left you in basically a dog kennel. And that's how they treated us. You know, and the thing I want to bring awareness to is this. Mental health was never, ever a priority in these environments. You do not know how many times, how many institutions I've seen people flip out, calling for help, and the correctional officers are just laughing. And see, that's an issue too right there in itself, man. Deprivation of medical help and mental health. You know, they come through maybe every couple of days, mental health with their little charts and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Half the time, the therapists that are there to do their jobs are scared half the time, and they'll just bypass you. You're dealing with men with real issues. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes even harder when you have a correctional staff that are not being educated in the needs of inmates that have mental health issues. I think the majority of inmates suffer in one form or fashion from mental health, and they lack the resources as far as to give these inmates what they need. Therefore, they're creating nothing more than a cesspool of fucking shit that's going to be taken out there to the streets if they ever parole, with mental issues, mental problems, no trades, no nothing. I was in the SHU. I paroled from the SHU. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 separate times. Not one time was I offered any type of programming, any type of schooling, any type of anything to help me be rehabilitated as an inmate. All my schooling came from was self-taught, ordering books, studying them, and so forth. I never got no vocational trade. I never got no, whatever you get in prison, man. Like I said, I wasn't on the main line too long, man. But I don't think people realize that doing time, if you're aligned to any group, I don't care if you're Wood, Africano, Norteño, Sureño, Bulldog, or whatnot, man. Eventually, there's going to come a time when you're going to have to put in that work. Your numbers are going to be called, and you're going to have to handle your business. And in the process of that, you may catch a 6-month, 2-year SHU. You never know. And while you're in the back, I don't think you realize the loneliness that you're going to have at night, the isolation that you feel from the rest of the world. You know, it's a very, very tough situation, man. And I don't think the Department of Corrections ever took it serious, man. I think mental health should have been the main priority in prison. Not locking people in a box, because what you're doing there is you're not dealing with the problem. You're putting it somewhere to where it doesn't blow up in your face because you can't deal with it. You know what I mean? Some of the worst mental cases I've ever seen have been in jail and prison. And instead of seeing people get the help that they need, I see correctional officers going up in there doing cell extractions just because they want to be some rowdy cowboys. I've seen people be up in their cell for hours asking for medical treatment, mental health. I need to talk to a psych. And next thing you know, they're trying to kill themselves. These are the realities of prison. And you never know how you're going to be affected by that when you go to the SHU, when you go to the hole. I've seen people go into prison perfectly normal, as best as they can be. And next thing you know, they catch a pagada. Next thing you know, they're in the hole. Next thing you know, their mind's starting to twist. You know? Next thing you know, what do you do when that happens? You get rid of it. So even in the prison societies, within any group faction, even these groups don't know how to deal with people with mental health issues, man. Because I know we had a policy. Nobody was supposed to take psych meds. And we had some people that came through that were good dudes and they had some psych issues. So you're going to tell me that these individuals that need therapy, they're homeboys. But because the law says they have to take, well-being for their physical and mental well-being, you're saying that they can't take these medications. But are you a doctor? What training do you have? I kind of used to question that, you know what I'm saying? Because none of us have, our doctorate in medical or so forth. None of us have experience in the effects or need of certain prescriptions. So how are we going to put those restrictions on something that may help someone? And then the next thing you know, homeboy's getting removed because he's not on his meds and his actions ain't in accordance to what's expected. Think about it, man. Being in a box for 20 years. How strong-willed do you have to be up here just to get through that? How many people hold on and just finally break? How many people just all of a sudden, man, that was a key tool to use for the validation purposes, to get people to debrief. Let's get them up in the SHU. Let's get them tired of this lifestyle. Let's give them an indeterminate SHU. Let's take away their conjugal visits. Let's take away their contact visits, their phone calls, all the things that you get on a prison yard. Those things were taken from inmates. And this changed the whole cycle of where you started to have individuals where they couldn't take it no more. They wanted to go back out to the line. They missed their family. So CDC, in a lot of senses, was very corrupt, man. I'm not a believer in security housing unit or administration segregation. I get it. You may have to take people away due to the fact that they're a threat, they're violent. But at the same time, you got to have some checks and balances there, man, because you're breeding more mental issues than you are succeeding in helping an inmate. How many people have gotten back there, you know what I'm saying, and they're normal. Next thing you know, they're talking to themselves. Next thing you know, they're running around the chair naked. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, they're doing what they're doing in front of female correctional staffs. It happens all the damn time. You know, and it hasn't been a priority to rehabilitate people because you're basically affecting their mental state and what you're doing to them. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to have some type of rules. You need to have some type of consequences for your actions. But that does not mean that the Department of Corrections has the right to neglect people's mental state, to overlook it. Because it's tough to be in the Ad-Seg shoe, man. I mean, I've had moments where, man, you know, my worst experience was when I was put in that isolation cell for a week. And that was just done to torment me. Straight abuse. Due to an associate warden named McAllister at CMC East. He abused his authority. Straight up. He lied. All kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And those are facts. Everything that he claimed and his reason for doing it, they didn't have no psych come see me 72 hours late. They did that on purpose. And those are the kind of things that you see. They left me in a cell for 7 days. No clothes, butt naked. No mattress, no blanket or nothing. On a metal slab in a cell within a cell. I couldn't even have running water or flush my toilet. No books, no reading material, no nothing for a whole week. No shower either. And by the law, they tried to claim it was 5150 status. They came in the first day, the captain at that institution, and said that you're going to be here for a week. They already made the decision. It was to punish me for my actions. And it was to inflict some type of abuse towards me and to try to affect my mental state. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to call it what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? What he did should have been was a violation of my rights. It was cruel and unusual punishment. And stuff like that, staff need to be accountable. And yes, that's Associate Warden McAllister. He was the Associate Warden at that time. I got into it. I kicked over the table, jumped up, and was rushing towards them, and they decided to do that to me. That's part of the game, I guess, right? Anyways, just a little spill about, you know, security housing unit and the mental effects of it, and just how the Department of Corrections did not really research the long-term effects, and you're really seeing it from the inmate population today. You know, I think that there needs to be more resources in mental health in general. There needs to be more resources in the Department of Corrections in general. You need to rehabilitate people. You know what I'm saying? Not just lock them away and throw the key. Anyways, this is your boy Flacco. Man, just a little quick spill, man. I figured I needed to drop something for you guys, man. Hopefully you guys like it, man. We'll touch more on the shoe, but I wanted to focus on the mental health aspect of it and the effects and the PTSD it causes and the trauma and so forth, man. And I know any of you guys that have done any long time in the shoe, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. With that said, it's your boy Flacco. I'm out.
Come from Northern California where the murder rate is high, it will creep right on you. I come from the land of the bad, but we ever get money and we with that gunplay. I come from Northern California where the murder rate is high, it will creep right on you. I come from the land of the bad, but we ever get money and we with that gunplay. I come